Your team isn't moving up from FCS to FBS.
You know, I've actually been there, bought the t-shirt, or I guess commemorative jersey, and I just don't think Idaho's going to be that first school to plow the trail from Division 1 AA to Division 1 to FCS back to FBS.
Yeah, Idaho is definitely not moving up anytime soon, but it's also unlikely that many of the other rumored candidates are moving up either. There are new videos every week that I have to watch about a certain powerhouse in the FCS that is going to be moving up to the FBS, and it's going to be sunshine and positivity. But I felt like I needed to be on camera for this video and bring in Cheyenne from the Touchback as well to help me stay on the course as we break down and as I rant a bit on why your favorite FCS team is not moving up to FBS anytime soon. But before I get into all of this, make sure, as always, you are subscribed to the channel below. Ring that bell so you get updates on brand new videos that I will be dropping in the future. Also, make sure you follow Cheyenne at the Touchback as well. I will put his link in the description below, and like and share this video. Share this channel with other college sports fans.
Okay, Tim. So I actually thought we were going to do a video on why the Lewis and Clark Pioneers were going FBS, but I don't think you want to do that. So I'm just going to ask that you calm down for a second. We have seen a few different teams in recent times make the move from FCS to FBS. This year, we'll see Delaware and Missouri State join the ranks of top flight college football. In recent years, a few teams down in Texas have made this transition. We've seen James Madison. They've had quite a bit of success relative to some of the other teams we're going to talk about today. And of course, who can forget those plucky Owls of Kennesaw State?
Yeah, Kennesaw State didn't have great success yet, unless you want to say that their win over Liberty this year was a big win. But meanwhile, James Madison having the opposite of that. They're having great success, so that's good for them. But usually that doesn't happen with a lot of teams. When your team moves up from FCS to FBS, you have a lot of seasons of maybe 4-8. Maybe you'll get a lucky 6-6 season maybe here and there. But really, it takes a long time for you to get up there and be a conference champion. Also, want to mention another team that made a crazy move that everyone also likes to mention. That would be St. Thomas of Minnesota and their crazy move from Division 3 up to Division 1. That's not going to happen again. I don't see it happening ever again. The reason why that happened was they had a lot of money, and that's where a lot of this conversation for the rest of this video is going to entail. It's going to entail money. They had a lot of money. They had a $75 million donation. Then they had about $50 million in the bank already. So it was easy for them to move up and get the scholarships and get the facilities ready for Division 1. But yeah, don't see that happening anytime soon.
Sir? Sir, are you listening to me, sir? Sir, I'm talking to you. Sir, are you aware?
So we've mentioned briefly some of the schools that have transitioned from FCS to FBS, but I'm still not sure why exactly you need me involved. I mean, have you seen my channel? Like, it's pretty weird.
Well, you did have a full breakdown and actually many videos about Sacramento State. So I feel like we should start with them about the many reasons why they might not be moving up to FBS.
I mean, if you want to, but you're not going to make too many friends over on those Hornet message boards.
Yeah, I know. I don't think I'm going to be making any friends anytime soon from a lot of fan bases, predominantly in the Mountain and Pacific time zone. But anyway, let's start with Sacramento State. So it looks like they're going to be needing at least a stadium overhaul, and at least for scholarships expansion, they're going to be needing money for that as well. And if they want to move up, they also have to add a sports team. With all of that, the average amount that's going to cost the school is about $40 to $55 million. I don't know if they have that, but that would be the average of what it would take for them to move up.
And just to add on to Sacramento State, I mean, there are a few shortcuts they could take. There's always the adding beach volleyball to volleyball, which you've seen a lot of schools do to get all of the sports teams. Indoor track is another one where you can sort of finagle that one there. But the stadium situation I've covered before, that's a mess. I don't think that's going to happen in any way, shape, or form, at least what that administration has been saying. And those NIL donations are contingent on being in the Pac-12. So that $50 million, which is just pledges, mind you, it's not any firm actual money in the bank. Who knows if that's real or not? It's just really difficult to see the path Sac State takes when they need so much initial investment right now to make the move work.
And that's really what I'm trying to say with the $40 to $55 million. That's kind of what they need before they even start doing this whole process. So that's just Sacramento State. Let's go to another team that everyone likes to mention, everyone likes to do videos about. That would be North Dakota State. Yes, I know they are one of the best teams in FCS. They've won, 10 national championships now. They're amazing. But their stadium is not up to par of the FBS. It's a great stadium, mind you, but they do have to do a major retrofitting to the stadium, and that's going to cost about $30 to $50 million. Plus, they need to add scholarships, which I believe they would do, and they probably have the capacity to do. And then they would have to add 2 to 3 women's sports to also get on that level, and it would cost them about $60 million. So North Dakota State might have an uphill climb. South Dakota State also has an uphill climb, but not nearly as much monetarily as North Dakota State. They are in the range of $30 to $45 million to move up, but still, they have to do a lot of the same things. Expansion to the stadium, adding scholarships, adding women's teams. It's a lot of work.
And it should be noted with both North Dakota State and South Dakota State, they are football programs and athletic departments built on successful winning teams. And when you take that element out of the equation to go 5-7 or 6-6 or even 7-5 in a lesser FBS league, it doesn't necessarily work like it works because they're getting premium sponsorships, higher than average ticket prices. Winning at FCS is a business model in and of itself. And speaking of winning at the FCS level, well, there are 2 schools, we're going to stay out west, but there are 2 schools that win perhaps more than anyone else, and I'm talking about the Montanas.
Yeah, Montana State, both of them do great, but once again, they need a lot of money to move up. Montana State, though, they have a little less to do than Montana, but still somewhere in the range of $30 to $40 million. Those 2 teams need to move up, and really Montana has a lot of work to do because they have to do a pretty big expansion to their stadium to get it up to FBS level. But the final team out of the 6 that are usually talked about, and the one that really has the best shot of moving up, that would be UC Davis. Now, they do have a lot of money that they have to spend to move up, but they're in the Mountain West already. So they just need to get their football team up to that level. Now, really, they need about $30 to $50 million to move up their team to that level, but still, they have a little less work to do than the rest of them.
The thing about UC Davis is that they're really going about their business in an interesting and probably a savvy way compared to their neighbors down on the other side of the Causeway Classic. That's some Sacramento local references for you. Anyway, UC Davis isn't really committed to going to FBS. They know what they need to do. Their athletic department has an understanding of these are the benchmarks we need to hit. This is exactly what it's going to cost and what we need to do. And they've kind of come together with donors, with boosters, with everyone who needs to make this a reality. And they're just going to try to figure it out. That's why they weren't in a rush to announce going to Mountain West for football. They just want to see if they can make it work with the stadium expansion, which is a pretty significant investment on their part to make it work with the adding extra sports. So UC Davis isn't committed to making the move. The pathway is there, and now they're really studying feasibility, and that's perhaps the wisest thing you can do when trying to figure out if your school is ready to go from FCS to FBS. It's not a bunch of schmoes, a bunch of schmucks like me and you fantasy booking transition moves for FCS or FBS schools. It's all about figuring out if it works, because it doesn't work for everybody.
And that's really what we're trying to do in this video. I know that there's a lot of numbers that we could have, a lot of charts that I've put up in this video to show you how much money it would cost for you to do it, but there really is a lot to be done. Now, it used to be when you wanted to move up from FCS to FBS, it didn't really cost you that much money, at least initially. Now, you have to pay $5 million up front to move. Before that, it was a few $1,000s.
It's definitely a far cry from back in the day of the college and university divisions where schools didn't even get to determine what they were in. If they just played a certain number of games against certain schools, it was like, hey, welcome to the big time, folks. And then, of course, D1, D2 starts. It's kind of been historically messy as the NCAA was trying to figure out what we're doing with divisions and sort of separating all of these teams. So in some ways, I do think it's good that there are at least some sort of rules, regulations, a pathway forward. They're not just flying by the seat of their pants, but on the other hand, it has become cost prohibitive and sometimes facilities prohibitive for a lot of schools looking to transition.
Now, I'm going to say it's going to take about 5 years for a lot of these FCS teams to just get used to the whole aspect of paying students. A lot of these FCS teams haven't done it before, so now they're actually going to have to start to do it. It's going to take them a little while for them to figure it out in their budget to know exactly how to make it work.
However, there is one thing that a lot of these videos talking about schools that should play FBS, or even some of the presidents running these schools wanting to move FCS to FBS, I'm looking at you, Sacramento State, fail to realize when they are trying to make this work, whether in the realm of hypotheticals and YouTube videos or in the realm of reality. That has been, historically speaking, a lot of schools have reasons other than simply wanting to be FBS and money to make this transition. Either it was part of a much bigger plan for athletics like the University of Central Florida and their weird climb from no sports to Division I. In Idaho, you had Idaho and Boise State sort of joined at the hip. I mean, the Idaho government basically forced Idaho to drop down to the Big Sky to support Boise State, and in 95 they had them both go up. Speaking of politics, there's a lot of politics involved with Nevada's move from Division I AA to Division I, where there was a desire to have Nevada and UNLV to be at the same subdivision, the same classification of football. There were also money reasons. There were historical reasons for Nevada to make the route move, but there was also just this desire politically to do something.
So yeah, politics, that was a thing I didn't mention either. So there's a lot of factors that a team and a school have to think about when they want to move up to the FBS level. So you can't just be some random person sitting in your basement like I am right now, fantasy booking a lot of these guys moving into random conferences, because it's not going to happen anytime soon. And really, we just have to enjoy what we have. And them at the FCS level, that's probably the best it's going to get, because when they move up to FBS, like we said, nothing ever works out well.
I mean, 2009 Humanitarian Bowl, but there was a lot of bad times for Idaho at the FBS level. And I mean, I was there for the FBS years. I enjoyed them, but I just don't know if a lot of these schools have the appetite for it.
Okay, so we talked about Idaho not making it in. We talked about the other factors for other teams not getting in. So that's why I want to kind of look to the future, even though on this channel I do absolutely nothing about the future or really anything about the present. I mostly just talk about the past, but I want to talk about the future right now. I just want to go 5 years into the future with some predictions of college football. Cheyenne, what do you think?
Predictions, you know, when I look ahead at the landscape of college football 5 years from now, it is bleak. We are all going to be yearning for the days of what we had, not as some nostalgia, rose-tinted look at the past, but because if you look 5 years in the future, what you see is this small, closed Diet Pepsi version of college football, where we have a certain number of teams who aren't there based on merit, but simply because of money, like we said in this video. And you're gonna get stuff like a 4-7 Iowa playing a first-round playoff game against a 6-6 Ole Miss, both with at-large bids, because that's what these schools want. They don't want to compete. They don't want to be beaten by the little guy who may not have the resources or the coaching staffs or the facilities that they have, but they have something that a lot of these schools simply don't have, and that is heart and a willingness to work hard. The SEC and the Big Ten, they may have fancy marketing lines. It just means more, but it really doesn't. What the SEC really means is that we're going to squish everyone and profiteer for ourselves, and it is going to suck, and it is going to suck a lot in 5 years from now. But I don't know. Maybe I'm just hopeless and dark and whatever. Maybe there's a silver lining here.
One of my main predictions is that one of the teams that we mentioned out of the 6 are going to be moving up to FBS. I don't know who by 2030, but it's not going to be all of them. You might have maybe one, and I don't know if it's going to be Sacramento State or UC Davis, but it's probably going to be one of those two. I don't think we have any shot of a North Dakota State or a Montana State playing Alabama anytime soon. My second prediction is there will be more FCS teams that will make the option to go with less scholarships or just maybe move their programs down to Division II or Division III. Example of this being St. Francis. They moved all of their teams down to Division III because they want to save money. Yeah, it costs a lot of money for a team out in the middle of nowhere to be having a whole bunch of scholarships and 20 sports teams going. So that's why I'm predicting a lot more teams are going to be moving with that option, not down to Division III, but maybe down to Division II at least. And then my third prediction is going to kind of be what Cheyenne said, except I'm going to try to make it less bleak and sad. But basically, the SEC and the Big Ten will take 2 more teams, probably from the ACC or the Big 12. And that will cause more teams to move around until we finally get the Power League controlling the college football playoff. And then we're going to have like a second version of Division I, where we're going to have like the American and the Mountain West and the Pac 8 or 10 or however many teams they're going to have. Conference USA, Sun Belt, MAC, they're all going to be there battling it out for the one measly spot that they'll get for the playoff. And then we'll have FCS as like the third version of our Division I.
I do have one bonus predictions. Blowhards like, well, myself, maybe not so much Tim, but definitely me, will continue to make videos, fantasy booking, FCS to FBS transitions, or maybe just making things up like, hey, Cal State Northridge bringing back football and taking it to FBS. I'm sure we would all be excited to see the Matadors back, eh?
Yeah, see, I'm probably not going to make any of those videos anytime soon. This will probably be one of the few videos, like I said, where I'm going to be on camera and covering something in the present or in the future of college football. But thank you so much. Also, thank you to Cheyenne from the Touchback. Make sure you check out his channel. I'll also put a link of his in the description below. Thank you so much for checking this out. And tell me in the comments what team you think should be moving up from the FCS to the FBS. And I can tell you all the reasons why they won't.
Don't ask people to leave comments, dude.